Welcome to the Runner Dudes podcast. Everyone is welcome. Runners are welcome. Walkers are welcome. The running curious are welcome. We're going to widen the door to running and soften the impact for anyone willing to lace up and show up. Today can be the day you take the first steps towards physical, mental, and spiritual well-being and become the person you were intended to be. We hope to inform, inspire, listen, learn, and help you start your own running journey, all while being moderately funny and low-key entertaining. Let's go, baby. Okay, we're back, baby.
All right, new episode. Let's go.
See, I think what I'm confused about is, because the way these are being recorded, this is our second session. So episodes 1, 2, and 3 were recorded. I have no idea what I said. And so we may end up just repeating ourselves.
Hope not.
Hope not?
I hope not.
But I feel like this time around, Dusty, do you feel a sense of like confidence now? We've got this.
We're professionals.
We're Joe Rogan level podcasters.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think we had upwards of 130 streams. So yeah, very similar to the Joe Rogan experience.
We've hit the big time.
We've hit the big time. But we, again, as I have said, we were shooting for wives and mothers. And so we hit that demographic and we blew right past that. And there's sky's the limit now.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks to everybody, too, that all the positive feedback that we've gotten.
Yes.
On the first episode. The second one is set to release here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So today, we've got some exciting stuff going on today. I want to start off, though. This is episode 4. This is going to be in the house. We have a for real life beginner runner.
Our first guest.
So we've got a guest. Her name is Michaela Mcguire.
Hello.
What's up, Michaela? And today we referenced him last week. He was the one who came up with the banger. Jimmy is here. He's mic'd up. He's on the Google machine. So you may get to hear from Jimmy today. Jimmy, say what's up. So we've got a lot going on. What I love about that is that if this one is no good, I've got 2 extra people I can blame for the failure of this particular episode. But let's just dive right in right here, okay? So Dusty, I got your question. We do our opening question. When did you consider yourself a runner and why? I
guess when I felt like I had achieved the runner status was when I started actually running with Upper Cumberland Road Runners.
Okay.
The first couple times that I joined up with them, just felt like being a part of a group. Then I was a runner.
Yes.
Versus just all the solo efforts I'd done before, and even though I'd done several races before.
I agree with that.
But I guess it took several years before I even felt like.
Yes.
I don't know. I guess it took on a different meaning than just doing it for myself. You're kind of a part of a group.
I agree with that. Because I ran with Dad and Charmin, and I've talked about the race for the park after dark.
Yeah.
And so, and that large group from Crossville, and I was in the group picture. And then later on, I got asked to go to a Ragnar event. And they asked me to do that because they noticed that I was starting to run faster times. And so once you get invited into the inner sanctum, so to speak, and other runners recognize that you're a runner, I think that's when you begin to feel like a runner. So I agree with that. My question also to you is, if you are a runner, why aren't you wearing the 2-inch split shorts, Dusty? Do you think you're better than me, bro?
We've talked about this several times. I think we've had this conversation. So it's funny you say that. We always reference this when I talk to a couple of dudes about if we've got a run plan that we're doing, like, okay, what pace is it that we're going to be running this? Are we running, are we doing 7-inch shorts? Are we doing 5? So the faster you go, the shorter. I've not achieved that speed level where I can, where my shorts can get that short.
No, listen, Jeff Lynch wears 2-inch split shorts. That bro's out there cranking out 10-minute miles on some of his recovery runs. And Jeff, let me tell you, Jeff's got he's muscular.
Yeah,
he's got thick legs. And so, dude, them split shorts split wide open, baby. It is bordering on inappropriate when he is. It's very European.
I'll go ahead and say this right now. Just since he's laid this down to me, I will get a pair of the split shorts.
Yes, one of us. If you were one of us, you would do it.
If I'm going to be, I guess if I'm a runner, I'm going to get a pair.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to see that. So let's transition right here into talking to our guest, Michaela. Michaela, this is your first podcast. Are you nervous?
First ever, a little bit, but I think they've helped calm my nerves a little.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. And like I said, me and you both being Mcguires, we can blame others for any of our failures.
Oh, absolutely.
With the best
Always
of them.
have.
Always have. And so if this stinks, it'll be you can blame me. If it stinks, I'll blame you. We're just going to dive right in here to some questions for you, Michaela. And, oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. She is my cousin, and she is a Tennessee Tech former Golden Girl. Tennessee Tech graduate, wings up.
All right.
And she is now, tell us what you do right now. What are you doing?
I graduated last year from occupational therapy school. So
Nice.
I'm an OT now. That's what I do.
And she just recently got engaged.
I did. Yep.
Wow.
So we're
Congratulations.
Thank you.
planning a wedding.
Yep. November. So
November.
I guess around
My
when this
mother has
comes
been
out.
texting me about this wedding. She texted me the other day. She's like, "What are you wearing to Michaela's wedding?" I was like, "Is it this weekend? What did I miss a memo?" It's like I got some time. So anyway, here we go. So let me ask you this first question right off the top: what inspired you to start running, and how did you feel during your first few runs?
Honestly, like, I don't know the moment that I wanted to actually start running. I think it just kind of happened. So I guess I should give like a little backstory. I grew up like from the time I was like 2 or 3, like I have danced all my life. And I feel like when I was doing like the studio dancing, we didn't run. I think that we were always kind of told that running obviously would kind of inhibit like your flexibility, and it would.
Listen, now
Sure.
we're talking about you talking about the
Yep.
stiffest dude on the planet right here. Like I have a hashtag Mikey don't stretch, and it's because all of the running I do, my hamstrings are always pretty angry at me. So yes,
Yeah.
dance and running is not a combo.
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
So I grew up knowing that, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just never run. It was never an issue to me.
Right? Nobody's pushing me to do it. I don't have to do it.
No one's
I mean, they're
chasing
telling me not to.
She's not being chased.
No one's chasing me.
Well, she is from Rockwood, so she may have been being
Yeah.
chased. But anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
So then I went to Tennessee Tech, as he said, and I was on the dance team there. And it was a little bit different from studio dancing, I would say. So we danced at like football games, basketball games. I was definitely different from what I was used to. And at this point, so we have nationals that we have to go to every year in January. And it's only like a 2 or 2.5 minute dance, but like the whole time
Yes.
you are like moving, and it's just like so much cardio. So that's when I kind of started running some.
Yeah, I
And we'd
remember
have
you came to me. Didn't they give you like you had to run a 9-minute mile or something? Because I remember
Yeah.
you were on the dance team and we started running together.
Oh, yeah. And there was one time where we were supposed to run like 3 miles in like a certain amount of time.
Yes.
You took me out and ran 3 miles. This is the most I've ever ran in one
Yes.
go. And I
Yes.
just remember after I was done, I was like, that was awful.
It was awful.
And Michael's just like, all right, how was it? I was like, oh, it was okay, I guess.
This was great, wasn't it?
I'm going to go cry in the corner now. Yes.
So, yeah, that happened. We would have to run like a mile before practice and a mile after practice. I got pretty good at running just a mile, but I never saw myself doing distance
Anything other-
at
okay.
all. And I was doing that because I was forced to.
Yes.
Obviously, it wasn't my choice to run that.
This goes into what we've talked about. Oftentimes, people have such a negative opinion or perspective on running is because at some point in their life they've been forced to do it.
Forced to do it, yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
something that they haven't done voluntarily. And I think that the running that we're talking about and what this podcast is for is running that you find later in your adult life when you choose to do it. And so it's also funny to me that like I can run that day we ran, but to do your dance routine, I would have needed to be hospitalized.
Yeah.
Because it's like a hit workout.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was absolutely full on ridiculous cardio.
Oh, yeah.
And so the two, I remember when we were talking, after you run, I was like, I don't know how the two even translate. So I guess it does help your cardio. But so obviously you talked about your first few runs, didn't feel great.
No. No. Those 3 miles, like, the whole entire time I was like, this has to be almost done. And for some reason in my head, I was like, thinking that 3 miles, like, that's not even like that far. And we
It's
ran
very
all
far.
around Cookeville.
Yes.
Like, literally so far. And he was like,
The first time you asked, you're like at 0.34 miles.
Yes, we're
gotta be over.
Are we almost done? We're almost done with this first
Absolutely.
quarter mile.
And the way that we did it, y'all are familiar with Cookeville, is like we ran around, and the last part was coming up
12.
from the Fit to
The 12th Street.
Is that 12th?
Yeah, it's coming up 12th by the football
Dude.
stadium. That hill. Listen, I know all about that hill. That hill is a nightmare.
that was the end of it. But anyway, so after that, after I graduated, I got into OT school. I'm really not doing anything else with my life but school. Like, it's literally just school. And I started to kind of hate that. Like, I felt like I was working towards graduation and that was it. Like, I had no goals and I just wanted to have a goal to work towards.
Yes.
And for some reason, Michael's always posting about running. And also a little side note, Michael is like, in our family, people talk
Let's
about
hear it.
him like he is a saint.
Whoa. Michaela,
The golden child. He's the golden child.
He's the golden child.
Let's back up and give a little
Yes.
point of reference. 10 years ago, Mikey was being talked in a different tone. Mikey got sober 9.5 years ago, started running, and then things definitely changed. And so, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And so it has been, and around Cookeville, the circles I ran in definitely changed when I asked for help. And we're going to talk more about that in future episodes. But thank you for saying, and running became, obviously, I probably was beating everyone over the head with running. I'm sure they got tired of that, but it's been a huge part of my life. And
I hope everybody that's listening and listening to what she said about needing just a goal to push towards, and used running. So running is definitely, it is difficult, and it's something that makes you uncomfortable if you've not done it.
Yes.
But it's very achievable by anyone,
100%.
no matter what.
Yes.
And you use that just because you said, hey, I'm trying to figure things out, so this is what I want to do. And that we talked about stuff like that before, about, making your bed, doing things small things to unlock bigger goals.
Yep.
And it's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I want to go back here real quick and just give it a little bit. She is a beginner, and I think that she can definitely in the future accomplish much more. But she has finished a half marathon. She ran the haunted half. I helped her train for that.
Survived.
Yes, she finished / survived the haunted half.
That's what it's
Talk more
about.
about
That's
that.
what it's about. That's what it's about.
about.
And so she learned she made a lot of beginner mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so that's what it's about. What challenges have you faced as a new runner? How have you overcome those challenges?
Well, I honestly would consider myself a beginner runner again, because
Yeah, for sure.
this was 2 years ago that I did the haunted half.
That's right.
And he talked me into it, and and so it went good, like all the training stuff. Like, I really enjoyed that. We get to race day, and I'm already like a really nervous but excited person, and I feel like nervous and excited in my body feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
So like I'm already like at the starting line, just like this big ball of like anxiety.
Listen, I'll tell you, that's part of the experience, because the haunted half, it has a big race feel to it.
Yeah.
For a smaller race, for a Cookeville race, it was one of the first ones I did, and it has that feeling of like, oh man, we're getting ready to do something big here. And so I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
100%. I get that at 5Ks.
That's what I was about to say. I honestly think everybody gets that feeling if you're lining up. As soon as you strap a bib on, you get that feeling. It's not so much on your normal day-to-day runs that you're doing, just during your training or during whatever you're doing. But yeah, on race day, whenever you strap that bib on, it's like,
it changes
man,
it.
This is the big time.
Yeah, for sure. And so that we got to get to the point where I know where we're going with this. You went out, you made what were some beginner mistakes that we made on day one? The first one we talked about, I know, dressed a little overdressed.
Yeah.
You was warm and toasty at the start line.
I was. I went way too hard to begin with.
Yes.
And I was feeling good for a minute.
I can't imagine a beginner or any runner, me, going out and being like
Never
race
done that.
plan going out the window.
Never done that.
We're just going full send for Dale today.
Yeah.
For Dale.
For
Just
Dale.
abort everything that you know.
Yeah. We're just going to go. I know I can't run these paces, but that feels good right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What mile was it that you barfed?
Dude, I think it was like, I'm not going to lie, I think it was like mile 6. Okay.
Oh, man.
Which is terrible.
No,
and I know
no.
exactly where it was at. I'm terrible at street names, but you just go across the bridge that
Yes.
is
You were
over.
right there on Broad. You were on Broad. Turned right on Broad Street, and you came across 111 right there.
I did. And it was that there's that hill over there.
Headed to Dry Valley.
Yeah. And then I just remember after I barfed, we're running down that road and we're passing the apartments right there. And I just remember like Jace, Michael's brother, and everybody just standing
no.
out there cheering us on. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just threw up.
Yeah, like, yes. Hey, and I'll tell you, there's nothing like when you've barfed at mile 6, you still got half the race to go.
Yeah.
6 miles has never seemed longer.
Oh, no.
It was awful.
It really, I mean, but you have to like start to ask yourself, how bad do I want to do this? And the fact that you finished it is
Yeah.
very impressive. And so getting started can be so intimidating. Just getting out for a training run
Yeah.
can be intimidating. Getting out the door. I coach runners and I understand, I deal with a lot of that. Beginners are very intimidated simply by you're out on the road, people can see you, and so it can be intimidating. Let me ask you this. What, now that you're running again, me and you have started running some, is it more mental health, or is there anything that you want to accomplish goal-wise, or is this just physical health, mental health, spiritual health, getting back into it, or do you have some goals that you have set for yourself running-wise?
I feel like I want to be able to run more consistently. Like, I hate that the only time that I've really ran is when I was training for something.
Right.
Like, I want to just like maintain something, and also just for like the mental health aspect of it. I feel like, I mean, I've not talked openly to a lot of people about it, but after I finished that half, there was like a month or two after that. I mean, I just went through one of the worst times that I had been through, and like day to day, the goal was to survive.
Yes.
And it makes me wonder sometimes if I would have just kept on running, would it not have gotten as bad as it did? I'm in a better headspace now, but I just feel like having running or something like that to continue to do
Yes.
would definitely help in preventing anything happening in the future like that again.
Dusty, we've talked about this, and
Yep.
just having something running for me has absolutely it's the reason for any success that I have in my life today. Sobriety,
Yeah.
mental health, anything. I know we've talked at length about this, and let me tell you, that's what this podcast is about. It's about running, but I think more importantly, it's about mental health, spiritual health.
And at the same time, we're not trying to, to make running something that's a compulsive, something compulsive in your life.
It's not a fix-all. There are things that need to be done, but
it can help you work the problem.
Yes.
And that's what you want it for. And if it does that, if it's running that does that for you, not a thing wrong with it.
I've worked a lot of stuff out running. And so
it's all about that. It's all about the balance that it brings you.
yes, and it's easy to get caught up on stuff, and so running has always been there when I'm having a tough day. And I will tell you, even as an experienced runner, sometimes I can allow a bad day to turn into a bad 3 days, bad 6 days, and before you know it, I've not ran in a few days, and then that's when it really starts to snowball. And if I can just get my running shoes on and get out the door, I always feel much better about it. So
That's it. Anytime I've got a slight recovery or down period, if I don't run for a few days, usually my wife is telling me, you need to go.
CG, same thing, bro. Your wife and CG.
You need to check yourself.
CG has literally said, "Go for a run, bro.
do
Like,
something.
go for a run. This ain't. I don't know, like your attitude right now." And like you said, Michaela, I think also you train for something. There's that. I had that lull after Boston. I had this huge goal. It's all I talked about. It's all I thought about. We achieved it, and then now I was like, now what?
Yeah.
And then the running fell off, and I kind of went into a weird place.
Yeah.
And so getting back to running and understanding that it doesn't always have to be about trying to run faster or trying to run longer or trying to
Or
qualify.
training for something specifically.
That's right. If you, I have enjoyed the few we've gotten out several times. I listen, and as I have said, I'll run any pace. It's never a wasted mile. Wouldn't you agree, Dusty?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, just get out the door and get your shoes on and go run with a friend and talk.
No matter
about
what
some
it
stuff.
is.
I want to get into some stuff here. We talked about your goals. What advice? Let me ask you this briefly. What advice would you give to someone that is thinking about starting to run but feels intimidated? And what would you maybe say to your beginner self? What if you could do it over, what would you do different?
I feel like some of the best advice that has like really helped me that I think about every time I'm like about to go for a run is something that my fiance had said to me one time, and he said this time that I've like started running, not the previous time, but he said something along the lines of, you'll never regret running when it's done, but you'll always regret not going out and doing it.
Yep.
And I feel like that has like really stuck with me. So even on the days where I'm like, man, I really don't want to get out the door.
Yes.
I don't want to do it. I feel like that has just like really pushed me. Like
all
I'm
about how you
going to
feel when you
regret
get
it
done.
at the end of the day.
Dusty, have you ever regretted a run?
I don't think so.
No.
I never have. I don't think there's any time that I have. Yeah, but there's times that you're like, man, I'd rather take a beating than have to get out the store or do anything. It might be raining there, but
Yes.
there's one thing about that.
I'm talking about once it's done.
Once it's done, that's it. You feel great. You're
feel
glad
great.
you did.
Yes.
Glad you did, for sure.
We were talking about Saturday. It was blowing. I knew the wind was howling, blowing rain. It was the only time I could do it. I'm out there at 3:30 a.m. 15 years ago, if you'd have seen me run around Cookeville at 3:30 a.m., there would have been a much different situation going on.
Something going on.
Cookeville police would be involved. Something has happened. But there I was, and I wasn't it was a 17-miler. First 5 miles weren't awesome.
Yeah.
But when I got done, it was like,
Thank goodness.
that's
I feel
done.
great.
The rest of my day's going to be downhill from here. You know what I mean? I've got this done. So totally get that. Zach's 100%. Zach, if you're listening, you better be listening.
Yep.
That's exactly right. You're never going to regret getting out the door. So that's very good advice.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is a big one. And I want to eventually, we'll have some more female runners on the podcast because this is something that I think I probably need to learn about. And this is the safety of women, women feeling like running is a safe space that they can participate in. We certainly know what happened in Memphis with the young woman in Memphis, and I think it happens, across the country all the time.
A lot more what we know about.
A lot more than what we know about. And so, what has your experience been like as a woman running? And I guess tell me all the things about your experience, good and bad. Have you had, what's some great experiences, bad experiences, and what's it like being a female runner?
First, I just want to say I'm glad that this was brought up because when you had first called me and asked me to do this is something that I definitely wanted to talk about because I feel like it is important.
Yes.
I don't do a lot of my runs alone for the simple fact that I'm scared of what could happen.
Of course.
And I do a lot of my runs in, what you would call safe places. Like I've ran a lot at like Cane Creek, stuff like that. But I just don't feel comfortable doing them by myself a lot of times. And I'll either have friends or honestly, Zach, shout out to Zach again. He runs a lot of my runs with me. He doesn't enjoy running, but to make me feel comfortable, which is awesome. To make me feel comfortable, he'll go.
Collective. Love it, Zach.
But yeah, I feel like when I was training for the first half that I did, well, first and only, was when the stuff happened with that woman in Memphis.
Yes.
And I remember I was already scared, and I feel like that just like added a whole nother layer
Of course.
to it. And going back to the anxiety thing that I talked about, like I'm already just a pretty anxious person in general. And physiologically speaking, like, what does anxiety do to your heart rate?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it raises
yeah.
it up. I'm already at a disadvantage if I'm out there running by myself.
That's right. Now we're talking about something that's right. I mean, this is not only affecting you mentally, but now it's affecting performance.
Performance, absolutely.
Yeah, simply because you don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll choose treadmill. Like, if somebody
Wow.
can't run with me, I will choose treadmill. I would like to have, like, a group of girls to run with. I went on a bachelorette trip and had some girls that I ran with there. And that was so nice because, like, you really didn't have to worry about anything. You had people to talk with.
Would there be anything, I mean, obviously, do you carry mace? Do you carry any sort of weaponry? I mean, I'm asking, I'm being serious. Like, they make knives and things of this nature. I think it's, let me just say, I think it is ridiculous that we even have to talk this way.
Yeah.
I feel like when I say that women should run with other women or run with a man, I think some women get mad at that.
Yeah, and you always, there's several women that run with us, and you always kind of pay more attention to them when they're with the group. Like, we always everybody checks on everybody regardless.
Yes.
But you typically, and you don't know, well, should I? You don't want to make women feel any different.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I know.
But still, I mean, that's your run family. You would do that for anybody. I would want someone doing that for my wife if she were running.
Yes.
And I do the same thing. So, yeah, I get that because you never know. I mean, we run some safe roads around here. We run super early, but I do know several of the ladies that we run with, they will carry mace. They will carry, stuff, anything that can protect them,
Right.
But,
I think in the last 7 or 8 years, the homeless situation has gotten worse.
Yeah.
You notice to me, I think it is ridiculous. And I know that my heart is in the right place, but when I have told female runners that I don't feel like you should run the All Good Trail because I see homeless camps in the woods back there, and I'm just like, so I'm concerned for you.
Well, that's terrible too, because that trail should be enjoyed and it should be, no issues with it. But it is it's poorly lit. It's not lit very well.
There's times of the day or night, dusky, anything after dark.
It's sketchy.
It's sketchy. I've been back there. Maybe started my run at a time where I ended up back there when it was dusky dark, and I picked my pace up.
Yeah,
and I'm a sweaty dude. What I mean? So I don't know that anybody wants to abduct a sweaty dude, and so it's just I think there's two separate sets of rules for I've heard a lot of the female runners have talked about how I don't even have to consider what I wear. I in the summertime, I go, obviously 2-inch split shorts. We joke about it. I wear no shirt.
Yeah.
And so I'm not concerned about how I look. I'm sure that's something that you have to consider.
Definitely.
You don't want to dress in any way that could be misconstrued as provocative or in any way like that. Would you agree?
No, I definitely agree. So honestly, what I wear sometimes depends on like where I'm gonna run. And I like to run in like biker shorts.
Sure.
And sometimes I feel uncomfortable even just doing that.
Of course.
I mean, that's probably just me in my head, but.
And unfortunately, I think that's because people and we live in we've got some rednecks around here, and I remember when I would run in Crossville, people would yell things at me, and I know that female runners probably have. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced people yelling, whistling, and all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
And so
catcalling.
That's right.
Man.
Of course. That's definitely that's not. And guys, shout out to guys who catcall, man. If that's the best you come up with,
that's what you
got. You're like, I'm just going to yell something obscene at this young woman, and we'll be on a date in no time.
Has that ever worked?
You know what? It's had to have worked somewhere.
Apparently, it has. I guess
it had to have worked.
Must have to catch such fire as it has in the urban construction worker community, or at least what I've seen from cartoons.
Yes,
Jimmy bringing it in there, man.
Jimmy coming in strong. But no, I want to, in future episodes, we'll talk. I want to have more, obviously, female runners on here, and I want to try to get an idea. I understand with some of the women that I coach, a lot of times if I look at the mileage at the end of the week and they've not gotten their miles in, I have to think to myself, I'm intimidated. There's some days where it's just putting yourself out there in public, in the view of the public, is intimidating.
Yep.
And then to do it when you add a layer of I don't even feel safe or I don't want to be objectified is just an added layer of anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to add on to that, like, that's just how I feel. Like you guys kind of said, some women are completely different in terms of what they feel comfortable with. But that's just my experience. I feel like I'm also just an extra safe person. So I'm constantly thinking about, oh, well, what if this happens? What if this goes wrong?
Yeah.
So.
Yes. And I think that's totally acceptable. It's a good place to be. And I want you, obviously, as a family member, and, I want you to be safe. And I want all women runners to be safe. I want everybody, every male, female, everybody that runs, I want them to be safe. But you got to be smart. I mean, there's definitely certain times a day and certain places that I would avoid, and so you just got to be smart. And I think, well,
that's where your groups come in. That's like, you always run with somebody. I mean, there's times that you're going to have to run by yourself if you're going to be doing it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's always better with someone, just for that simple fact that you're being safe, you're being cautious. And it's always. I mean, it's just honestly better that way.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Michaela,
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Michaela.
Absolutely.
I think the first guest went very well, and you did very good. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to all the Mcguire clan out there for making me and Michaela super weird.
Yep.
And Jimmy, you got anything you want to add here at the end?
I'm just so proud of all of us.
There we go. Way to wrap it up, baby. Yes. All right, episode 4 in the books. Let's go.
Let's go.
The Runner Dudes podcast is sponsored by Express Footwear and Runner Dude Coaching and Consulting. Produced by Jimmy Thorpe at sightandsoundcreative.com.